You again? I thought I might have scared you off with the Accordion Ninja, not to mention the Rising Beast and all of that before. Anyhow, yes, this is another episode of my Box-R-Cyz Melodeon tutorial videos. Done quite a few of these now, but there's still more things to discuss, and today I'm going to talk about something which for some while was, something I knew that I was kind of meant to know about and do, but never quite got very proficient at it to do it, and that is playing on the right hand side in octaves, playing two notes at once, an octave apart. Now, some of the exercises we've done in the past, particularly Rising Beast, I suppose, dealt with octaves, and we've certainly dealt with harmonies in the sort of Neighbours one when we played in sort of thirds. But what about octaves? Can we do anything with that? Now, the obvious thing to try first, but this is probably where I went wrong before, is to start trying to spend all your time trying to learn your G scale or your D scale in octaves. And octaves are confusing because when you push the bellows, the octave is one sort of spacing on your right hand, and when you pull them it's a different spacing, and that gets really muddled up, especially if the bellows pattern isn't regular either. Trying to remember which is which, or for that to happen sort of, instinctively, it's kind of hard to get there. So what I suggest with octaves is, first of all, just practice playing octaves in one bellows direction. So do some exercises with that. So if we start with a G octave, so we're going to press the third button on your inside row, and then the sixth button on the inside row, I think that's the one. That's going to give you your octave. So we do that and push it, and then we move our hand. Let's go up a bit. So let's go to play the next button up, which is going to be your B natural. So B natural octaves are those two. And then D. And then up further again, back to your G's again. And then back to beginning. So, and then just get used to playing those. Bounce your hand around with the adjacent ones, or even further jumps. So, or even the same spacing, but then jump to the other row, and so then you do your D. And then so that you get confident of moving your hand around and playing those octaves as you do it. As you're doing that, as long as you're still pushing, the spacing on your right hand stays the same, so that you're not going to get confused. You're just going to get used to playing those octaves just on the push. As long as you keep your hand there, that's going to work. Once you're fed up with that and you can do it easily, that's the time to then start pulling octaves. So when you do that, if we were going to pull an A note, say, the index finger will be on that third button again, but instead of on the sixth button, your little finger would need to be on the seventh one. And that's going to give you your A octave. And then you go through the whole rigmarole again of just moving around with that spacing. And so on, and then moving across to the other row. So that becomes easy. And again, you don't need to move your fingers in and out, they stay in that one position, and that works for all of the, apart from anything weird this end, all of the pulling octaves. So you can do lots of pulling ones as long as they're together, and you can do lots of pushing ones as long as they're together. So the obvious thing then is to start mixing them up. So that's when your scale will start to come into effect. And what you find with this is you play, say, the first one, the G, and then when you play the A, you realise that one finger will move and the other one will stay where it is. So in this case, the index finger will stay where it is, but the little finger will move. And then when we go to the B, you find that the little finger needs to stay where it is and the index finger moves. Now, if you've seen the John Kirkpatrick video, he talks about crab movement, where it's like boom, boom, you're moving one leg at a time to do that, which is quite a good way of saying it. However, the temptation with that is to just move, keep your one finger pressed down and just move the other one. And that's tempting because it's sort of super easy. You only have to think of one finger at a time. But that then causes problems when you then go on to do more complicated things and you're jumping around. So what's maybe better is to lift your hand off the notes, off the buttons between each one. That feels more deliberate, and you're having to think about the spacing and not just rely on one finger moving about. And then when you do that, then you can jump. And that's more likely what you'll need when you then start playing tunes. So what we haven't done yet is the full scale, so let's do that now. Same on the outside row. And then you can play a tune with an octave as well, and then hopefully that will become instinctive after a bit and it will just work. But again, you've got to get the spacings right, a wider one when you're pulling and a narrow one when you push. So that's where your octave playing comes in. So practicing octave scales or practicing just little tunes that you play entirely with octaves, that's the point of this exercise. So that's something to work on, and the more you do it, the easier it will be when you come to put octaves into your tunes. And it's worth doing that because it gives a bit more oomph and a bit more variation. So there we go, there's another video for you. Kind of a short one, maybe not, I don't know, I've lost track of time now. Hope you enjoyed it though, hopefully it was useful for you, and see you at the next one. Cheers for now. There we go.